Metroid 1 was hands down one of the greatest titles the Nintendo Entertainment System ever put out. People often rail against Nintendo for being a kiddie platform, and, well, who am I kidding? It's not hard to see why they do. But Metroid stands out as Nintendo's very own proverbial diamond in the rough, a science fiction-based franchise that has moved over 16 million copies and continues to do pretty well for itself, for the most part. Yeah, back in the day we didn't have quite the smorgasbord of options we do now, and so most gamers immediately trickled into two types, the platformers and the adventurers. I still remember the days when James tried to introduce me to Zelda 1 and I was all like, nah, I want to go back to Super Mario Brothers, only to eventually get hooked on Zelda myself a short time later. By the way, if it seems like I'm ripping off Sequelitis here, you got me. And I don't give a fuck. See, Metroid was released about a year after Zelda, which in turn was released a few months after Super Mario Bros. So by now we had already established platforming and adventure as their own little niches. Metroid did what no smart person ever dares to do. It attempted to appeal to both sides. Usually you try to please everyone, you just end up getting knocked on your ass by life. But Metroid got pretty lucky. Platforming and adventure came together. Zelda's system of well-hidden upgrades and Mario's platforming perils all at once, with the ever-so-slight twist of Planet Zeeb's apparent lack of a very strong gravitational pull. And Samus's ability to, of course, actually walk to the left. That was nice. The upgrades in Metroid were insane. Everything from missiles to bombs to the ice beam, which added the element of freezing enemies and using them as platforms. It was all here. The music in the game was so weird and nebulous. Sometimes it sounded like R2-D2. Other times it just plain creeped you out. And of course, sometimes it just rocked ass. How's any sequel supposed to compete with that? I mean, this is without me even mentioning the fact that Samus is a female, and to this day, one of the most fearless and intrepid protagonists ever conceived. Metroid 2 Return of Samus made out alright as a direct sequel, and is pretty much as good as you can expect from a Game Boy title. This game went on to establish the look of Samus's missile launcher, as well as the shoulder pads for the various suits, since the lack of color left the designers with no other choice but to beef them up so you could tell they were there. As well, this game also establishes a critical story point in the series. But Super Metroid? Man, where do I even start? Well, does it make my dick rock hard? Maybe. Stop that. Super Metroid took everything that was great about the first game and proceeded to completely blow it out of the sky. It's the kind of sequel where when you go back later on and play the first game, you actually miss all those little things you used to be able to do, like shoot diagonally, morph ball in midair, wall jump, and run like Sonic. It's just like when you're playing Earthbound and you think, man, I wish I could combo. Or Zelda 1, gosh, I could sure use that hook shot right about now. Or Mega Man, where's the Mega Buster when you need it? But Tim, I hear you say, couldn't this principle apply to just any two games? Maybe you're playing Sonic and thinking, man, I wish I had the raccoon tail. What's the point? You could put any two games together and say that kind of thing. Well, you're not wrong. What makes Super Metroid a great sequel is not just all of those little tricks. It's the fact that Super Metroid stayed consistent to the first game. Graphical differences notwithstanding, you put these two games side by side and they're practically identical. In some places, almost literally so. It's one of the few times in video game history where if you hadn't played it, you might think that they just slapped new graphics on an old game and shoved it out to the market. It is because of how similar the games are that the little tricks stand out, like charging different combinations of lasers, shine sparking, and the crystal flash. Metroid is the old dog. Super Metroid is old dog, new tricks. And they're the same dog. That's why it works. It's not a hedgehog and a raccoon. Never mind. Super Metroid improved on a lot of Metroid's little idiosyncrasies, like how you couldn't have the wave beam and the ice beam at the same time. Bam, now you're shooting them both at once. Super Metroid tossed in the charge beam as well, which became a staple in the series, but so many of the future Metroid titles took something from this game. Prime borrowed Ridley's hideout theme for its Magmore Caverns area, Prime 2 borrowed the Red Brinstar theme for parts of Torvus Bog, and Other M borrowed the final daddle so the baby Metroid could be relevant for 5 more seconds. The game makers pulled another smart move by including an entire intro sequence to catch us up on what happened in the first 2 games, which is good since nobody played the second one. The rehashings were awesome, and since they looked more like this game than the games they were rehashing, it only made me that much more excited to play myself. So Samus' ship docks out of the open area of Crateria, she pops out and... what is this? No music? Well, I guess there's something there. It's like an ominous chant, as if I could hear the long-winded depths of the planet calling out to me. Yet at the same time, I'm filled with the knowledge that if I were down there right now, where that chanting is coming from, I wouldn't last long. That's when I just knew this game was gonna be awesome. After you get caught by the yellow stroby lights and ascend the elevator, the planet comes to life. You've just awakened a sea of suck, and you're floating on 2 logs tied together with the twine of your scrot hairs. Welcome. The atmosphere is foreboding right from the get-go. Cloudy weather? I love cloudy weather! You see little bug-like creatures skitter away as you run by, a likely indication that no one's been here for a while. Of course, once you've triggered the alarm, it all comes to life, but check out the way you can hear Brinstar's music before the elevator even gets there. It It's like they want you to know it's go time. This place hits you right in the jungular, but it's not too long before you find yourself bawling around in what looks like a cotton candy factory, jumping around through lava cake, and struggling to avoid a watery grave. Many areas in the game would go on to become places that I would pretend to go to as I slept at night, except for the wrecked ship. That place sucked. It's not long before you eventually find yourself circling back around to somewhere you've already been. The entire map of this game is like one big spider web. You pick any two random spots in the entire game, chances are you can get from one to the other in under 5 minutes. And that's part of the genius of Super Metroid's map design. There are areas of the game that are kind of out of the way, not necessarily the quickest and or easiest way to get where they intend you to go. For example, when you come to Norfair with the Varia suit for the first time, the speed booster is going to be at the top of your list of things to get. And here's how the game would expect you to get it normally. Bomb down through the purple fuzz, take this door, work your way through the lava cake, avoid the fire-breathing stone faces, come up through here, ride some shoe puffs under spikes, come through the door, and guess what? You're back in the same room you were just in. Well, if you get your speed up just right, you can actually wall jump straight there and avoid the entire thing. Later on, you pick up an energy tank at the wrecked ship and your next destination is Meridia, right? Well, normally, you would just continue on that path, find yourself in Criteria, make all these tricky jumps over the water, fall through this pointless cave, powerbomb through a door, take the elevator down, fall through more gooey weird shit, get slimed, and then find yourself in this huge room where the plasma beam is, but you can't even pick it up anyway because you don't have the space jump. Or, if you wanted to, you could just leave the wrecked ship, back to Criteria, take the handy elevator down to Red Bryn Star, fall to the bottom where the glass pipe is, powerbomb it, and bam! You just skipped an entire chunk of Meridia, and it only took half the time. Now, the map designers had to have anticipated that people would want to try 100% runs of this game. They also knew that anyone who was good enough to 100% the game was probably also privy to these two shortcuts. And so they did the most awesome thing they could have possibly done. They refrained from putting any upgrades into these two pathways. Granted, I guess the wave beam is sort of in that area, but it's just a quick stop after you get the speed booster. The point is they did a really good job of not putting upgrades too far out of the way. Or at least if they did, there would be 2 upgrades to get when you got there. Do you know how easy it would have been for them to just stick a missile pack right here? Every 100% speedrun that you ever saw to this day would be at least 8 minutes longer because of that. Super Metroid is a dream come true for speedrunners and sequence breakers alike. There are so many ways to sequence break this game that no two people do it the same way. A lot of the sequence breaking tricks aren't that hard. The game even teaches you some of them. Except for the mock ball, which I don't think even the programmers meant for that one to slip by. Slip by, nice. You know what else is awesome about this game? The death of Crocomire. See, in the first game, after you beat a boss, it usually just kind of exploded, same as a normal enemy, really. Just have a look at this. Yeah, I hope your parents didn't walk in on that shit. In 1994, you would have been grounded for 20 years. Oh, hey, I guess that means you get out next year. When you're on your way to fighting Creed, you come across this guy who looks like he wandered off the set of Super Ghouls and Ghosts. And now he's just Bantha Poodoo. There's really no point to him being there, but it's a nice touch. I mean, he looks like he had some pretty decent armor, but it wasn't enough. It really serves to heighten the suspense before your first major boss fight. The game has a lot of surprises to throw at you, like fall-through floors, Chozo statues coming to life, R2-D2s coming to life, more fall-through floors, sand digging. Okay, that one's out of the way. Chozos falling from the ceiling, space pirates that know karate, and fuck! There is some backtracking involved, and backtracking is one of those things people either like it or they don't. I personally like it. I feel like it helps me to get to know the world better, but hey, it's not everyone's cup of tea. In the end, getting good at most games involves memorizing something. In a straight-up action game, it's about knowing where things are, enemy placement, power-ups, things like that. But in adventure games, the memorization is less about learning a one-way single-serving obstacle course, and more about learning how to get around. I think it's gratifying to go wandering up a mountain seeking redemption with 2 random twins who I don't know are spying on me, and then run into an old friend whom I haven't seen since the day his daughter died and he ran off vowing vengeance. Some people would rather just finish stage 4. That's fine. But the real kicker, that one thing that shoots Super Metroid straight up into my top 5 favorite games of all time, is the final battle. This is one of the greatest final battles in video games. I don't know if it's as good as Gygas, but it's right up there. See, most games will pit you up against an eventual goal, and they make that goal pretty clear from the start. Usually it's saving the world, or a girl, or both. In the case of Super Metroid, it's retrieving the baby Metroid that was stolen by Ridley at the beginning of the game. Whether it's to give the Metroid back to scientists for more research, or to keep it as a pet, I don't know. Does anybody? You get to the end of the game and you smash Ridley. Yeah, this was a close fight. And the Metroid is gone. You go to Tyrian, kill a bunch of Metroids, try to find the one that thinks you're its mama. Mama? I absolutely love the way the game sets this up. Okay, see, you come into a room with a couple of side hoppers that can't be destroyed by anything. You can pop them with a super missile, but apparently it takes more than one. Screw that mess. You find yourself in another room with one of these seemingly indestructible things, and holy crap! Giant Metroid, is this the final boss? This Metroid latches onto that seemingly indestructible thing, and in a matter of seconds, it's toast. Yeah, this guy doesn't fuck around. But before you can even do anything, it latches onto you and it's game over. Or is it? This shit blew my goddamn mind. Seriously, baby Metroid, how many calories per day have you been eating? Well, he runs off, cause, you know, he feels bad, and before you know it, we're back to playing Metroid 1 again. Nighty-night, Zebatite. Now we're practically in a rehash of the rehash, and the fight is easier than ever. Only this time... Dear God, who came up with this music? It's brilliant. You fight on. But what you don't know is that this mother brain has no set HP. For all intents and purposes, she's invincible. But whatever, you gotta fight her. So eventually she starts charging up for this bastard of an attack. God, Samus is not having a good day. You're stunned. Even if you try to move, you can't. And, well, this is happening again. Yeah! Woo! Mother Brain writhes in agony, but her little T-Rex arms do jack all against it. Holy shit. When the big MB is finally subjugated, the baby just floats on by. I swear I think he's just saying hi here. Then he latches onto you again. Wait, no. What? Metroids can't heal people. One does not simply get healed from a Metroid, am I right? But so many things are happening here. And maybe this is different for people like me because of how we actually grew up thinking that Metroids were evil for 7 years before Super Metroid came out. This was a surprise to us. The fact that a Metroid is risking its life to help someone out, oh shit. Oh no, no, what are you doing? Get off of me and attack her again! I can't do this by myself! No, what are you doing? He's a good guy! No! I don't even remember the first time I played this battle. It's like a blur in my memory. My heart was in a million pieces on the floor. I was too devastated to even notice my beam had changed. Then all of a sudden, I was winning? Oh man, just listen to that. There is no sound in the world that could have given me more pleasure than that scream of anguish again, and again, and again. All too soon, it was over, just like the game. This is one of a very select few final battles that has actually made people cry. I still remember reading the letters to Nintendo Power. People were outraged. But you know, when you really think about it, they closed a loop on a story that never would have worked out anyway. Hey, what if this Octorok was a good guy? Or Magikoopa? Or one of these? Well, you see what I'm saying. Super Metroid has a story that stands all on its own, yet is cohesive with the rest of the Metroid timeline. It's about as classic a story as you can get. It's not uncommon for bad guys to turn good and then die just after they found redemption. Spoilers! So I don't know if I'm ever actually going to make one of these again. I just never imagined this could be so much work. But I must extend a huge thank you to Egoraptor for the inspiration if you happen to be watching this crap. Man, you must have the patience of a saint to do this shit. So until we meet again, take care everybody and keep the faith.